Okay. Now we're recording again. We got 29 minutes remaining, and we got some callers on the line. Okay, let's take a caller. Let's take a caller while we're setting up that. Hello, who do we have from the 310 area code?
This is David Koth calling in Clayton this morning. How are you?
Good, David. Good.
Just listening in and taking some more notes. I'm always taking notes here. I got paper all over.
All right. I want you to stay with me. I'm going to take another call from Dr. Ayush because we need a commercial set up here. And why do you have two phone numbers on here? How'd you do that, David?
I don't have any idea.
All right. Let me hang that one. Let me bring Dr. Ayush up. Dr. Ayush, are you with me, sir?
Yeah, good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning, sir. Listen, I wanted to bring you up. I'm doing kind of a special show today. I don't have any guests, and I'm talking about the control. I'm going to be talking about the control that they're trying to put on us, how they're trying to bring our police state about, how they're trying to control our money, and I'm featuring this KB Gold as my sponsor on all of my shows now. And we're doing 2 hours in the evening too. We're doing 2 hours in the evening, and folks, I set this up and I got with this because I believe this is the safest way you can save any money, that you can have any money, that you can maintain some buffer between you and the inflation, which is basically a hidden tax that's going on you. And keep in mind that an ounce of gold would buy you the same amount of food 100 years ago that it'll buy you today. Am I being correct in that?
Pretty much, yes, absolutely, yes. The currency is going to be changed, and if you are not going to make a drastic movement before that happens, you're going to be in a very bad position when that happens. So we encourage everybody to take 5 to 20% of their fiat paper money and put it in silver and gold before that money was nothing, was zero.
Now, so, I want to point out something. If you sign up, if you come on to thefreeamerican.com, you go to my website, you fill out an application, and the only thing I'm asking for, folks, the only thing we're asking for is your driver's license number, proof of citizenship here, and we'll put you into the system, and then you deal direct with KB Gold. And anybody that you sign up, if you sign up people, you will make a commission if they buy gold, if they transfer their FRNs into gold, and you can do that too. You can put a certain amount of your savings in there. It's just like putting it into Chase Manhattan, except it's in a central bank or in a bank in Switzerland, which has always remained independent. And throughout 2 world wars, if we have a 3rd world war and you've got gold in Switzerland, well, that's where all the big boys keep their gold, so it's going to be safe. And you can actually, if you buy gold through KB, if you sign up here, you sign up under Clay Douglas, and all the information is up on the website freeamerican.com. You sign up on that, then. You just tell people about it. That's all you got to do. You just tell people about it, and when you buy in, I get a little commission, and you'll get commission because I'm not even putting anybody else under me. I'm putting it under anybody that's signed up with me, and that's the way it works. It goes down about 10 levels, doesn't it, Doc?
Yeah, when you go down to 10 levels, you'll be able to make up to $900 referral fee from everybody who does the exchange in those 10 levels. So, and you can buy get gold and silver with that referral money. So actually, the gold and silver you get, it will be basically free when you buy it from your referral money.
Now, this is the only company. This is the only.
I never know any institution in this world who give you money, referral money, when you send customers to exchange their paper money for silver and gold, except KB Gold. So we have an excellent opportunity today.
The other thing about KB Gold is they're one of the probably the only company that is offering gold in half-gram sizes. You can buy a half-gram card or a half a gram of gold for whatever it is, $33. So let's just at a rough estimate, probably $33 for a half a gram of gold. It's embedded in a plastic card. It is embossed. It has a hologram to show its authenticity, and you could trade it for Federal Reserve notes anywhere, any coin shop in this country, couldn't you?
Yeah, it's small increments, and this is the smaller you can get, so you'll be able to do a trade with whatever you want to trade with, so you don't have to carry a large amount of gold with you when you do an exchange with services and products and so forth. And also, Joe Norman, who used to be on your show on Tuesday, he will be entertaining Q&A, a live session this afternoon at 12 o'clock. So I encourage everybody in your audience and everybody you know to go to that call at 12 o'clock. And I already sent a reminder to everybody this morning to where to go and to call, so you'll be able to call and ask questions about KB Gold with Joe
I will
Norman, the one who
I will try to get out.
Basically represents.
I will try to get an email out on that after the show here. And Doc, thank you for being with me. I got to move on.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, David, you still with me?
Oh yes, Clayton. I've got to be leaving here to take my son to second grade at about 1:15. But I just wanted to make a comment. I've been keeping my ears on CNN News and watching the developments in the Middle East. And last night I heard a report that several, if not all, of the countries that surround Egypt are all taking note of exactly what's going on there. And I've heard even in Iran now that there's some protests happening at night. There was a video clip on today that was on the YouTube of the military there intervening in just common residences, calling out and whatnot for to take their dictator out. So this is almost like a spreading virus in the Middle East at the moment, what's happened in Egypt, and it may happen in other countries as well. But what it is for me is just showing us here in this country that we can do the same thing that they're doing over there in Egypt right now. We could take out our entire regime of dictators and no good doers here in this country and reestablish it as a righteous and just government.
With men like Stuart Rhodes and our veterans and our police officers like Sheriff Richard Mack, yes, I believe we can do that. And the problem is really the banksters, I think, but it goes deeper than that. Now what I intended to do on this time was to talk to you about an article that I've got up about the secret government, the origin, identity, and purpose of MJ-12 by Milton William Cooper, my friend that they murdered. And he says, during the years following World War II, the government of the United States was confronted with a series of events that were to change beyond prediction its future and the future of humanity. A stunned President Truman and his top military commanders found themselves virtually impotent after having just won the most devastating and costly war in history. The United States had developed, used, and was the only nation in possession of the atomic bomb, which alone had the potential to destroy any enemy, even the Earth itself. At that time, the United States had the best economy, the most advanced technology, the highest standard of living, exerted the most influence, and fielded the largest and most powerful military force in history. We can only imagine The confusion and concern when the informed elite of the United States government discovered that an alien spacecraft piloted by insect-like beings from a totally incomprehensible culture had crashed in the desert of New Mexico. Between January 1947 and December 1952, at least 16 crashed or downed alien craft, 65 alien bodies, and one live alien, who, by the way, was named Ebe. An additional alien craft had exploded, and nothing was recovered from that incident. Of these incidents, 13 occurred within the borders of the United States, not including the craft which disintegrated in the air. Of these 13, one was in Arizona, 11 were in New Mexico, and one was in Nevada. The three occurred in foreign countries. Of those, one was in Norway and 2 were in Mexico. Sightings of UFO were so numerous that serious investigation, debunking of each report became impossible utilizing existing intelligence assets. And they put a group of America's top scientists were organized, and the name Project Sign in December of 1947 to study the phenomena. Project Sign evolved into Project Grudge in December 1948. A low-level disinformation project named Blue Book was formed under Grudge. And during these years, the United States Air Force and CIA exercised complete control over the alien secret. In fact, the CIA was informed by presidential order, first as the Central Intelligence Group, for the express purpose of dealing with the alien presence. Later, the NSA was established to oversee intelligence community and especially the alien endeavor. A series of National Security Council memos and executive order removed the CIA from the sole task of gathering foreign intelligence, but slowly but thoroughly legalized direct action in the form of covert activities at home and abroad. Now, folks, I'm going to kind of skip over this. The whole article will be up on my website. But there's some, he says in 1951, Eve became ill. Medical personnel was unable to determine the cause of Eve's illness and had no background from which to draw. Just to tell you, to try to explain to you how linked I have been in this. The Colonel Loy Conrad that escorted Ebe to Truman's office was my father-in-law. Now, how I met these people, how I met Bill Cooper, who wrote this, who stated all this, and he told you he saw the UFOs coming out of the water, coming out of the sea. That's because these craft can fly underwater and through space. And how far that goes, how close to the Men in Black television show are we? Well, a lot closer than you would believe. And that's actually what I put in my book. Now, you've read, David, you've read the part of my Lucifer legacy that I put in the screenplay. You've looked at that, haven't you?
Oh yes. It's more real than you can believe. I got shivers up my spine when I read it.
And this evolved the novel, the character that you've read about there. I built his past up 40 years ago, 6,000 years ago. I said it 6,000 years in the past, and I established that story I wrote 40 years ago. Now, the other stories that I wrote 40 years ago is about that same character come back in a different form with a different name in a future time. And in that time, he was called Solomon. That's the original novels that I wrote 40 years ago. But now, what Bill Cooper is saying here, and I met Bill Cooper. I've sat in his living room with him. You know, we've had drinks together. We've talked. We were going to put our magazines together. We were both broadcasting on worldwide shortwave at the time. They killed him in 2001. They tried to kill me in 2004. This is very, very real, folks. And what Ron Paul and what Stuart was trying to tell you with Oathkeepers is that they are doing this. The Southern Poverty Law is behind it all. Now, Southern Poverty Law happens to be Jewish. Lee Bracker I'm talking about happens to be Jewish, but this is not a Jewish plan. It's not. It goes far beyond that, and it may it may extend. The Masons to at the beginning, at the end of the Civil War, knew that they were going to fight. We were going to fight 3 more wars.
Well, Clayton, I got to go. It's time for school to start in a few minutes, but I'm always listening in, and I'm always ready to add my 2 cents.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being on. And if you listened to our show yesterday, you'll find out that he actually confirms what we've talked about the alien presence. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Back to Bill Cooper. I'm going to give you some experts. I think you should read the whole thing. I think you should read the whole thing. He says, wise men, let's see, by secret executive memorandum, Eisenhower in 1954 went on to establish a permanent committee to be known as Majority 12, MJ12, to oversee and conduct all covert activities concerned with the alien question. The NSC 5412-1 was created to explain the purpose of these meetings. When Congress and the press became curious, Majority 12 was made up of Nelson Rockefeller, Director of the CIA Allen Welsh Douglas, Secretary of State John Foster Douglas, and Secretary of Defense Charles E. Wilson. The Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Arthur W. Radford, the Director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, and 6 men from the Executive Committee on the Council on the Foreign Relations, known as the Wise Men. These men were all members of a secret society of scholars that called themselves the Jason Society, or the Jason Scholars, who recruited their members from the Skull and Bones and the Scroll and Key societies of Harvard and Yale. The Wise Men were key members in the Council on Foreign Relations. There were 12 members from the first 6 from government positions, thus Majority 12. This group was made up over the years of the top officers and directors of the Council on Foreign Relations and later the Trilateral Commission. George Dean, George Bush, Brezhnev, and Brzezinski were among them. The most important and influential of the wise men who served on MJ-12 were John McCloy, Robert Levitt, Averell Harriman, John Bolin, George Kinman, and Dean Acheson. It's significant that President Eisenhower, as well as the first 6 MJ-12 members from the government, were also members on the Council on Foreign Relations. The researchers will soon discover that not all the wise men attended Harvard or Yale. Not all of them were chosen for Skull and Bones or the Scroll and Key membership during their college years. You will be able to learn quickly, clear mystery by obtaining the book The Wise Men by Walter Isaacson and Evan Thomas. Now, Majority 12 was to survive right up to the present day. And the Johnson administration became the 303 Committee because the name 5412 had been compromised in the book The Secret Government. Actually, that was leaked to the author to hide the existence of NSC 5410. Under Nixon, Ford, Carter, it was called the 40 Committee, and under Reagan, it was called the PI 40 Committee. Over all these years, only the name has changed. By 1955, it had become obvious that the aliens had deceived Eisenhower and broken the treaty. Mutilated humans were found along with mutilated animals all over the United States. It was suspected that the aliens were not submitting a complete list of human conducts and abductees to MJ-12. And it was suspected that all abductees had been returned. The Soviet Union was suspected of interacting with this, and this proved to be true. It was learned that the aliens had been and were manipulating masses of people through secret societies, witchcraft, magic, occult, and religion. After several Air Force combat engagements and with alien craft, it became apparent that our weapons were no match for them. And in November of 1955, NSC 5412-2 was issued, establishing a study committee to explore all factors involved in the making and implementing a foreign policy in the nuclear age. This was on a blanket of snow that covered the real subject, the alien question. Now, the study group was publicly closed in the later months of '58. Henry Kissinger published what was officially termed Results of the 1970 Nuclear Weapons and Foreign Policy by Henry Kissinger, published for the Council on Foreign Relations by Harper Brothers. In truth, the manuscript had been 80% written while Kissinger was at Harvard. The study group continued veiled in secrecy. A clue to the seriousness of Kissinger attached to the study can be found in statements to his wife or friends. A major finding of the alien study was that the public could not be told, as it was believed it would most certainly lead to economic collapse of the religious structure, and a national panic would lead into anarchy. Secrecy that was thus continued. An offshoot of this finding was that if the public could not be told, then the Congress could not be told. Thus, funding for the projects would have to come from outside the government. In the meantime, money was to be obtained from the military budget and from CIA confidential non-appropriated fund. And by the way, what David told you in my show the other day is confirmed here by Bill Cooper. Another major finding was that the aliens were using human and animals for a source of glandular secretions, enzymes, hormonal secretions, blood, and in horrible genetic experiments. The aliens explained these actions as necessary to their survival. They stated their genetic structure had deteriorated where they were no longer able to reproduce. They stated if they were unable to improve their genetic structure, their race would soon cease to exist. We looked upon their explanations with extreme suspicion. Since our weapons were literally useless against them, MJ-12 decided to continue friendly diplomatic relations with them until such time as we were able to develop a technology which would enable us to challenge them on a military basis. Overtures would have to be made to the Soviet Union and other nations to join forces in a one-world government for the survival of humanity. In the meantime, plans were developed to research, construct weapon systems using conventional and nuclear technology would hopeless bring us on parity. And that's exactly what we talked about with the lasers coming down on the top of the trade tower there. The results of the research were projects Joshua and Excalibur. Joshua was a weapon captured from the Germans, which at the time was capable of shattering a 4-inch thick armor plate at a range of 2 miles using low-frequency sound waves, are believed to be a weapon most effective against the alien craft and beam weapons. Excalibur was a weapon carried by a missile not to exceed 3,000 feet, not to deviate from the designated target for more than 50 meters, but would penetrate 1,000 meters of hard-packed soil, such as that found in New Mexico. The United States utilized its Vatican moles that had been recruited and nurtured in World War II to obtain the entire Vatican study, which include the prophecy of Fatima. This prophecy stated that if man did not turn from evil and place himself at the foot of Christ, the planet would self-destruct, and the events described in the book of Revelation would indeed come to pass. They also expected the return of Christ would occur in the year 2001. The aliens were confronted with this finding. They confirmed it was true. They explained they had created us through hybridization and manipulated the human race through religion, Satanism, witchcraft, magic, and the occult. They further explained they were capable of time travel, and the events would indeed come to pass. Later exploration of the alien technology by the United States and Soviet Union utilized time travel, confirmed the prophecy. The aliens showed a hologram they claimed was the actual crucifixion of Christ, which the government filmed. We did not know whether to believe them or not. Were they using genuine religions to manipulate, or were they indeed the source of our religion, which they had been manipulated, with which they had been manipulating us all along? Or was this the beginning of the genuine end times and the return of Christ, which had been predicted in the Bible? No one knew the answer. But in 1957, they held a symposium. They reached the conclusion that by the year 2000, the planet would self-destruct due to the increased population and man's exploitation of the environment without any help from God or the aliens. Now, by secret order, let me see what time I've got left here. Hold on. Okay, we got 5 minutes. And okay. Now, what they're saying is here that there were alternatives 1, 2, and 3. Alternative 1 was to use nuclear devices to blast homes in the stratosphere from which the heat or pollution would escape into space, change the human culture from that of exploitation into cultures of environmental protection. Of the 3 that was decided, this was decided to be the least likely to succeed due to the inherent nature of man and the additional damage the nuclear explosions would create. Alternative 2 was to build a vast network of underground cities and tunnels in which a select representation of all cultures and occupations would survive and carry on the human race. The rest of humanity would be left to fend for themselves on the surface of the planet. And alternative 3 was to explain, and that's basically where we are now, folks. The alternative 3 was to exploit the alien and conventional technology in order for a select few to leave the Earth and establish colonies in outer space. Bill Cooper, who wrote this, says, I am not able to either confirm or deny the existence of batch containments of human slaves that would be used for manual labor in the effort as part of the plan. The moon, codenamed Adam, would be the object of primary interest, followed by the planet Mars, codenamed Eve, and a delay in action, all 3 alternatives, including birth control, sterilization, and the introduction of deadly microbes to control and slow the growth of Earth's population. Age is only one result of those plans. There are others. It was decided since the population must be reduced and controlled, it would be in the best interest of the human race to rid ourselves of the undesirable elements of our society. The joint U.S. and Soviet leadership dismissed Alternative 1, but began order work to begin on Alternative 2 and 3. And I've got videos up on one of my sites there of the tunnels that they have built. They in 1959, Rand Corporation hosted a deep underground construction symposium. These machines are pictured and described which could bore a tunnel 45 feet in diameter at a rate of 5 feet per hour. Okay, and those tunnels have been gone in. It also says that the ruling powers decided one means of funding the alien connection and the other black market project was to corner the illegal drug market. A young, ambitious member of the Council on Foreign Relations was approached. His name is George Bush, who at the time was president and CEO of Zapata Oil, based in Texas. Zapata Oil was experimenting with new technology on offshore drillers. It was correctly thought that the drugs could be shipped from South America to the offshore platforms by fishing boat, where it would be taken to shore by normal transportation used for supplies and personnel. And I've seen them unload those boats in the Atchafalaya swamp, folks. By this, sitting next door to them. By this method, no customs law enforcement agency would subject the cargo to search. George Bush agreed to help organize the operation in conjunction with the CIA. That's all documented in my book, Mystery Babylon, The New World Order Unveiled. I got this information 25 years ago. It was handed to me in Sturgis by a Vietnam vet. I confirmed it all. I found the people that were involved in it who were put in Walpole prison for life. His wife killed. I interviewed him. He documented Bill Cooper's statements here. He documented the Bush involvement. I've also had Kathy O'Brien that talked about George Bush Sr. being basically alien in nature. And he was in the drug business. They took over, they murdered everybody in the Median cartel and the Cali cartel. They put their own people in the Cali cartel, is the banksters. and they are still doing that. The CIA now controls all of the world's illegal drug markets. So all of these birds and everything they're being directed by the drug cartels are really being done by the CIA. Okay.